Man, it's been way too long since I last did one of these. It wasn't meant to be like that. I originally was intending to write an entry 2 weeks ago, but I came down with a dreadful fever, and once again, I realized that I had taken the ability to breathe through your nose for granted, as I suffered with a stuffy nose. For like a week, I was forced to be a disgusting mouth breather. God, stuffy noses just suck so much. So that meant there was no way for me to comfortably write one of these, or I guess record one of these without snot running down my face every 5 seconds. Reminder, future me, don't take this ability for granted. Ever. Another reason as to the delay of another entry was I was spending a lot of time playing Ori and the Will of the Wisps. And gotta say, still don't know how to feel about it. I wouldn't say it was a better game than its predecessor, but it wasn't a downgrade either. Maybe I need to replay the Blind Forest, but speaking gameplay wise, not too different from its predecessor. The customizability of Ori's attacks was nice, but it felt like as long as you found your preferred attack abilities, you could basically just use that for the rest of the game, no problem whatsoever. I kinda wished it forced the player to switch in and out certain attacks based on what enemies you face in order to have an easier time set facing said enemy. It did that a little, but you only really switched abilities out in order to traverse the environment you were in before said ability was no longer needed. I see the customizability of said attacks being the biggest difference gameplay wise. Maybe I'm forgetting something from the Blind Forest, since the last time I played it was back in October of 2025, but I personally didn't feel any significant differences. The customizability is a noticeable difference, but not a significant one. Not to me at least. Story-wise, I was caught off guard that the twists and turns it did have, and when comparing it to the first game, said events I thought were that much more impactful as a result. Out of the 3 character deaths that I can recall, 2 out of the 3 really caught me off guard. I genuinely didn't expect events to unfold the way they did. Rating this game, even though gameplay wise felt the same for the most part, because of the story and how much I enjoyed it, more than I thought I would considering my expectations based on its predecessor, I'll give it an 8 out of 10, 0.2 higher than what I gave the Blind Forest. Last things of note, currently in the middle of a deload week. Needed, but not much needed. I wouldn't say I was utterly exhausted prior to the start of said week. Also, tiny bit of headway is being made on the goal of dunking a basketball, as I'm definitely noticing that I'm jumping noticeably higher, or at the very least, the amount of exertion required doesn't feel as much as it used to, but I personally feel like I'm getting a tiny bit more time in the air. Also, made waffles for the first time using the waffle iron my sister gifted me last Christmas. Might have forgotten to add the granulated sugar, and we don't have vanilla extract, so the waffles turned out tasting plain, and unfortunately, it didn't have the crunch I desired. Maybe next time, which will probably happen sooner rather than later. Anyways, gonna do a bit of food prep for dinner, then chill watching Gigi Murin of Hololive Justice play Super Battle Golf with fellow EN members. Matane! This journal entry was written on March 25th, 7 p.m.
Shoot the enemy!